Hey, it's my birthday. Woo! I got the Sonic the Hedgehog birthday bash mix playing in the background. It's a party. I'm one step closer to the grave. What's up? Thank you for the birthday wishes. So not gonna be streaming for long, and I truly actually mean that because I got a party shindig that I gotta get to later today. So in the meantime, just gonna work on this Tome AU lineup that I was working on. Just work on that for a little bit. How you feeling? Tired and old. I don't know. I kind of went through it last night. I think I was doing a little too much thinking late at night, and I went through a bit of a depressive spell, and that kind of followed me. It followed me from last night into today. So I'm just kind of in a rut. So I just want to do something that kind of takes my mind off of it a little bit. First of all, make this visible. I keep trying. So I left off on this trying to draw Sparks' face and his head, and I just threw in these facial features as like a placeholder, but trying to actually draw in the features for the finished thingy. It's not looking great. So I think I'm just going to redraw the head and just go from there. But I do want to keep in the hair on the side. Also, we're going to make this 15 instead of 20, so I can be a bit more precise. Sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better later. I hope so too, because I had some sleep. Weird ass streams though. Oh my gosh. And I think I got 8 hours. I can't remember. But yeah, I slept. I'm gonna eat my fill a little bit later, but not too much because I gotta save room for the party. I'm having pizza. So things will be okay. So I'm just gonna have a fun time. I'm just gonna sit here and draw and talk about stuff. Like, for instance, something that's been on my mind for a while, at least in regards to story-related stuff. So, pizza is a glorious thing. It is a glorious thing. I haven't had pizza in a hot minute. And people ask me, hey, what'd you want for your birthday? And I'm like, I want pizza. And they're like, we can do that. So, yeah. I'm gonna go to a shindig and just have pizza. There it is. There we go. Feel better now. But one of the things I've been grappling with recently, this isn't a serious topic or anything like that. So I've been thinking about the world building for like the Universe Traveler stuff as of late, because I keep getting, well, I wouldn't say reminded, but it's like I've been seeing a lot of motivational posts about working on projects and things like that, and it just made me start thinking about like some of the nitty-gritty stuff about like the Universe Traveler stuff and what that big project would turn out to be if I ever got working on it. And this is going to be some like big brain, like deep lore stuff. So the gist, so basically the gist is what I've been mulling over is in the Universe Traveler stuff. There are other worlds within the multiverse, right? So the multiverse consists of multiple universes, hence the name. And every universe is kind of like a world from Kingdom Hearts, right? If you want to equate it to something that's a bit more well-known. And every universe is different enough that they have like unique rules and events that are, for the most part, that are unique to them, right? So we can say Universe A, let's say. I'm just gonna cheat this because I think that was side tangenting real quick as I work on this. I'm gonna kind of be cheating this a little bit. Because this was just supposed to be a lineup that's very simple. There we go. So, let's say you have like Universe A, right? And this is the one where Dusty lives. And like Dusty's universe, right, is full of like the denizens of his world that are humanoid, gray skin, gray hair, all that stuff, right? Superheroes are a thing. Magic isn't a thing, but it's like mostly a world based around like science, right? Then say you have, and then you have like Universe B. This is like Rierda, right? Which is a fantasy-esque world. Technology isn't at the forefront. Monsters are a thing. Magic abounds, right? So these are like these are like the universes, right? Each of these are unique to each other. Within the multiverse, universes, the multiverse itself is a very nebulous thing, and it tends to shift. It changes. Worlds tend to collide sometimes. And not even like collide, they'll tend to rub up against each other. And there's like all this space out here, right? Yes, cheating. Yeah, I know, terrible, right? can't. How dare I use shortcuts? While I'm here, I'm just gonna erase this eye here. Oh, I looked at from the. So there's like, this is like the space between universes, right? And the space between universes, or like the stuff that makes up the space in between the universes within the multiverse, is like all this runoff. It's like, it's all energy that like runs off from all the other, like Z and T. We'll just say that these are all other universes and stuff that sort of fit into this. Right. Actually, you know what we can do? Oops, subtraction. Do that. So you got all these other universes out here. So there's like, here's C and here's D. So you got all these other universes, right? And here's the space between multiverses, right? So this is how, within the grand collective of the multiverse, this is kind of how it works. Right. This is like the multiverse. Universes tend to collide with each other, they rub up against each other, and there's more often than not an exchange of ideas sometimes. So when universes sort of bump into each other, there's like kind of an exchange of information a little bit that happens. And sometimes concepts and things end up getting shared between universes when they get in close proximity to each other, and when they rub up against each other, there's a greater exchange, right? It's kind of like if you take a balloon, you fill it full of vanilla, and you inflate the balloon. You shake the balloon a little bit, you go up and smell it, and you can smell the vanilla through the balloon. It's kind of like that. And then, like, you take both balloons, rub them together, they kind of like share the same scent. Kind of like that. The closer they are in proximity to each other, the more of an exchange there is. So things between the two universes are shared with each other, such as the identities of people and certain ideas and concepts. An example that I have of this that I can kind of get into is Dusty's World has a comic character that he absolutely adores named Dinah Dynamo, and it's a very pulpy science fiction-y like comic series. Think Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, kind of like that. Well, with some influence from like the Rocketeer. His universe rubbed up against a newly created world, right? Newly created universe. And when it did that, the comic that is like a thing in his universe became a real place out in the multiverse. So there's like that's one example. And then another example is sometimes people's identities can be shared where you will meet your exact copy on a physical level in another world, but because that is the only thing that was shared, they are an entirely different person compared to you. They have a different name, different history. They are, in essence, physically very similar to you, nearly identical, but their identity is completely different. Right? So that is how, that's kind of how that is how the multiverse kind of works. That's how I've kind of pictured it in my head. And that's just the state of things. Physically, it moves around, ideas get exchanged. Universes are more often than not spontaneously generated, I think. And sometimes they mitosis themselves apart from each other, like cells. They will like split from each other and become their own world. I think that's how I originally came up with Dynamo being its own thing, outside of Dusty's world. Right. So that is how the multiverse works. And universes can die, and they can be completely uninhabited. And one of the things that I came up with recently was that when a universe dies, a universe dies when it does not have any living beings in it for a long enough period of time. And it doesn't like explode like a star or anything like that. It just fizzles out of existence and it just fades away. Kind of like a Land of the Dead situation where it's like you are around in the land for as long as there are living people to remember you. Kind of like that. But so there's that, right? Then I wanted to introduce the concepts of alternate dimensions, which in this case are alternate timelines, because time in this instance is actually a tangible physical force and not just a construct made to measure the length of an existence of any given thing. So, I'm really parched. I should have brought myself water. Anyways. I wanted to introduce the concept of alternate timelines, because I wanted there, within the multiverse, within like this multiversal story concept, to have other worlds where characters can actually meet like true alternate versions of themselves, right? Because the multiverse itself is supposed to represent like different concepts like fantasy stories, noir stories, superhero stories, slice of life, etc., etc. And like some worlds are like a mixture of the two and all that. Because the multiverse is just a big old melting pot, right? And before also, there are, and you know, while there are multiverses like this, there are planes too. So while there are multiverses that are in, like universes within multiverses that are set like this, in like their own thing, you can also kind of think of it like a flat disk, where there's like all the universes are like chocolate chips in a cookie, and there's like the space in between, and then laying on it like a plexiglass plate or something like that is a plane of like, and this is like a plane of existence, right? But then there's like divisions in the planes, and then there are other multiverses on top of those planes, like on top and below. But it's not like they're it's not like the where you sit in this like determines you know, what's better and who's good and bad and or whatever. It's just these are like the divisions of how it works. So it would be, so you could have this entire multiverse here on this one plane, but then on this other plane you'd have all these other multiverses that are completely different from each other, right? And these are all spatially, for the most part, divided from each other. But there are like barriers and all that stuff because they're just separated by planes. So dimensions were alternate timelines, and retracing my steps here, I created it because I wanted there to be an instance where characters could actually meet true alternate versions of themselves, instead of just being like, oh, you go to another world and you meet somebody who looks and acts, who looks like you, but in essence they are a different person from you, and they dealt with different things in their life and all that. So I was thinking, okay, so you have the alternate timeline versions of these worlds, right? Where different things happened. So, oops. Oh, whoops. I accidentally took a slice out of the pie. Oh no! So I kind of sat down and ruminated on this, right? And I'm like, okay. So the way time works is it's kind of Doctor Who rules, kinda. Where it's kind of Doctor Who rules, kind of BioShock Infinite rules, right? Where time itself is kind of it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff, right? There are constants and variables. Like, specific events happen that create events that will happen without, that they just happen, right? But certain events are flexible, like certain things can happen and some things don't. However, time is not a track where the forward, like, there's no, like, the past has happened, but there is no future, right? When you are at present, you are in the moment. Nothing has happened yet until it has happened, if that makes any sense. So there is no, like, there is no set future, right? It's entirely nebulous. And time itself cannot be undone. You can't turn back time at all. What happens, happens. The only thing that you can do with time as a force, and if you're very powerful, is you can slow down time and you can stop it. But you cannot turn it back. Time will always continue to march forward no matter what you try. There are ways to kind of simulate going back in time and undoing things, but it's kind of different. But the power itself to do that is different. It doesn't quite work like turning back the clock and undoing things. It can be identified as it, but it can't be. But that's not what it is. So that is what time is. So here's the conundrum that I kind of faced. So I was thinking about, so that was like the initial conceit, right? And the alternate dimensions thing was, but before I do that, going between dimensions, going between universes are two separate things. While hopping between universes is like a spatial thing, it's like a space thing. You know, you're hopping between two set points in like via distance. So you're kind of bridging a gap between two places. The division between timelines is similar, but it requires a different energy to sort of breach the walls, quote unquote, of dimensions and time and go from one place to another. And while it's very similar to hopping dimensions is a very different skill, and only a set few people have it because time is a very nebulous force. It's hard to like really breach it, and you can't you can't really break down the walls without accruing a lot of energy. And the same goes for universes too, but in comparison, breaching time is a lot harder than breaching the universe. So, and there's also different ways to go through the universe stuff, so it's but I can talk about that later, because the whole point I'm leading to here is my conundrum with the universe, with dimensions, and I wanted to talk about that because I was mulling over what alternate dimensions there could be, and my own perception of what alternate timelines could be when you already have alternate universes started to muddy the waters a bit. So, say you have these two universes. Let's go back to the Dusty and the Rider universes for a second. There's nothing stopping me, for instance, by saying these two universes interacted, and while there's like a Dusty here in the Prime universe who's like, he's doing his thing, doing what Dusty does, there's nothing saying that another person in Ryder's world looks identical to him. I should go get water. But I'm on a roll. I need a place to stop. And then making, like, say, a human person who's like, ooh. Right? So this is like the him. This is like the this version of him, right? So what? So like there's that, right? What difference would that make then if there was just an alternate timeline where all the rest of these characters were just in here, right? And it got me thinking, if everything is an alternate timeline, then everything between these two would have to be almost identical to each other, right? So one of the things I wanted to do with the alternate dimension stuff is it was one of the characters that was going to be from here, for instance, was V, was going to be an alternate dimension version of the Universe Traveler, right? But then I was like, okay, his whole deal makes me think, well then, okay, how can I keep it all the same when his whole shtick is being vastly different than Prime, right? So it's like, I don't Or one of the other alternate dimensions is literally just an older version of the Universe Traveler story that just happens to be there. So it's like, okay, how do I justify having alternate timelines be different enough? It's like, how do I justify them being super different when their initial conceit is just there's like the prime timeline, and from, you know, prime as in the prime timeline being this is the one that the story is going to follow. How do I justify all these different versions of these same characters when the initial conceit of alternate timelines is just it's the prime timeline, but different things happened at the start to make things different? You know what I mean? Where events changed that led to these differences. That is one of the main problems I'm dealing with. So, anyways, chew on that for a second. I need to go get water. Just give me a sec. I'm back. Interesting conundrum. Also, a very cool idea for how the universes work. Thank you. I thought it was a really cool idea. Because I love alternate timelines and other universes and all that stuff. It's like almost like I based my entire internet identity around it. Whole. But yeah, that's why, and I've just been in a rut thinking about how do I in universe justify these differences, right? Hear me out now. You don't justify them, just make it so very vague that people have to accept them. And that was one of the ideas I had. Because I don't know. It's finding the words for it, which is what is another one of the reasons why I'm finding this so difficult. Is all this information about this is relayed to the main cast through a person, through a person who is a demigod, who is able to control time, and who is kind of sort of outside of the whole time space deal. So it's like I've gone over this like logic dump in my head a few times, being like, okay, how would they go about explaining this? And it's like I've got like the universes and the planes down, how they interact with each other, but the dimension stuff is the one that I've just grappled with, because it's like, and I've always wanted certain, because okay, so the thing is I wanted the alternate universes to be the different worlds, like Smash or Kingdom Hearts, and then the alternate dimensions being like the quote-unquote AUs of those worlds. And when you make it based around time, it kind of makes things a bit difficult, because then it's like, oh well, yeah, because it's like one of the ones I wanted to do where it's was to go back to that previous version of the Universe Traveler stuff that happens simultaneously. In that one, the main cast is slightly younger. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just letting the inner critic in my head like talk me out of this stuff when I should just be having fun with it. But it's like I cannot help thinking about the rules for this stuff. Yeah, but I guess it. Yeah, maybe I am just stressing about nothing really. Because I mean, yeah, you say you keep it vague, and it's like, yeah, no, that's kind of true. To be honest, no mortal is going to comprehend all the small details. You know, that's very true. And plus, it probably wouldn't really benefit a reader to get bogged down in all these minute details, and it just wouldn't really help the story along that much anyway. I'll just make these transparent, because one of the things I'd always like to do is, and not even like make it a serious project or anything, but to be just like a thing where I can say, as the creator of this series, I can say that's like, oh, this is a thing that just exists in the world. It's not important, and it probably will never come up, but it is a thing that exists in this world. Um, there's like, again, there's like the beta AU, or like alternate dimension, where it's like, oh, the characters from the previous version of this story, yeah, they're like actual people that run around. They're doing stuff in like off in their own little corner. They are entities that exist within all these alternate timelines, and like the whole world is shaped completely different. And some of the characters are still there, some of them aren't. And then there's V, who's like, the whole shtick with him is that he wakes up in a random world one day. He doesn't remember who he is, where he comes from. He has a bag just full of stuff that came from somewhere, and they're all like, he's got all these like different knickknacks and things. And he just wants to try and find where he came from. And the one thing that he knows is he can't go back to his home world, because the thing that allows him to travel between universes in his own dimension lets him travel around, but every time he wants to go back to his own home, to the place where he's from, it won't let him. Because, and I haven't really worked this out exactly, but from in my head, it tells him that he either can't because it doesn't exist, or he can't because it's too dangerous. I'm thinking that I want to go with that. It can't go because it can't find it. So he determines from that it doesn't exist anymore. For whatever reason, he doesn't know. But that is like his whole thing, is he just travels around trying to find scraps of his memory and trying to find out where he came from, where he came from was like, etc., etc., etc. And then sort of and then accidentally stumbling upon the prime timeline, and being like, oh, there's just another place where the me there, it just has friends and a family and a place he calls home. And he's like, maybe I just want to stay here. I kind of don't want to look anymore. I'm just gonna go where I know there are people that care about me. And then there's like the other timeline where Prime Universe Traveler is like bad, and but he's not like evil in the sense that he's just nondescript evil just for the sake of it, but it's like circumstances within his life sort of led him to become extremely bitter, and he has a very, I don't want to say narrow-minded, but he's very selfish and self-serving. And, that's one of the other timelines. And he sort of shows up in the Prime timeline being like, I'm doing this for me and me alone. Fuck all you guys. And, Prime is like, hey, knock that off. These are people I care about. Stop being a dick. And he's like, no. So every time they cross paths with each other, it's on site. They fight each other constantly. But it's a bit more nuanced in the sense that it's like, a little bit more nuanced, where it's like, I know that there are things in your life that led you to thinking this way, but, I know, and that from seeing how my life is, that things could have turned out differently, but you have the power within yourself to change who you are as a person and to choose who you want to be and what you want to do with your life, or who you get what I mean. And you get to choose your own path, and you're just existing in this headspace that is, let's be honest, very toxic, and you just need to move on with your life. But he's all like, no, I don't want to, and I'll feel a lot better once I like smash your teeth in or something like that. And it leads to all that stuff. So, and that's kind of what I was thinking of when it comes to like alternate timeline stuff. And Sid is like, and I think I talked about it when I was drawing Sid in a previous stream, where Sid is like the same thing. Where Sid is from an alternate dimension, but it's like certain things happened that led to her timeline being created, that her counterpart isn't actually her, but because of things that happened within her timeline, messed everything up. Her counterpart exists in another timeline, but it's a different person, right? And so she's kind of like this weird roundabout way of getting a universal counterpart into a dimension like that. So, you know, she ends up forming her own identity, but her counterpart is somebody completely different. And so she kind of deals with a little bit of an identity crisis, where she's like, I don't know if this is this who I'm supposed to be? Or, you know, I am who I am. I know that this person is who I was, but I'm not that person anymore. Kind of like that. And I think one of the things that spurred this whole thing was literally this guy. Was this guy right here. And what started this whole train of thought. Because Sparks' story in, like, the Prime timeline, right? He is a person that lives in I want to say, yeah, it's a dystopia. He lives in a very dystopian world where he kind of acts as a kind of like a I don't want to say a freedom fighter, because people still kind of have their rights, but it's a world that's pretty much on its decline because people have, you know, kind of run it into the ground through greed and through gain of their own, and not really, you know, being cognizant of the health of the world and the people around it. Totally not indicative of what the political climate is of the world today. Don't know where you would get that idea. And having been wronged in his childhood by these people, he devotes his life to revenge and taking his anger out on these people that took away the things that he loved in his life, and sort of kind of grows up and realizes that everything that has sort of gone wrong in his life is the result of the actions of these people that have done, like, nothing of value to him, in the sense that it's like, oh, these people have basically just wrung the world dry of all of its resources just for their own gain. I am going to devote my entire life to getting revenge on them and making their lives miserable. And by miserable, I'm going to murder them. So he basically devotes his late teenage years and his early adult, late teenage years to, like, becoming kind of this underground individual that, like, sabotages things and basically just running around breaking things, destroying things, and not really caring if people get hurt in the process, right? And then one of the places he goes to a facility that he learns from somewhere. I don't know where, because I haven't really gotten that part of his lore down yet. But he goes to a place where another big experiment is happening. It's a long layer. And so he goes there with the intent to destroy it. And so he goes there, he breaks in, starts wrecking shop, as you do. And like a true blue Spider-Man villain, he ends up falling into the machine that this facility was working on, and surprise, surprise, they're working on a machine that can tap into the universe, the runoff of all the universes within the multiverse, and by channeling that energy, they can create a power source that is unlimited, right? They can siphon this energy off and create a power source that is unlimited, and they can basically just run their empire for as long as they want to. He falls into the machine, and he is exposed to he being Sparks is exposed to the space between the multiverses. And a thing that's established in this world, in this place, is you cannot be, since you're being exposed to a ton of energy and a ton of ideas and concepts and things like that that happens to bleed off of these worlds, is, if you're exposed to it, it overloads you and kills you, basically. Think like the ending to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where the interdimensional beings flood, what is her name? Who played the villain in that movie? The Russian lady. She basically wants to know everything, so they give her all this knowledge, and then her brain combusts because it's so much. That is kind of what happens to a person if they're exposed to that space for too long. Is they are just bombarded with so much information that they die. So Sparks falls in. And he's exposed to that energy for a little bit. I want to say for like maybe a few seconds. I wouldn't say it's like a minute, but it's like a few seconds. And he gets incredibly messed up. Or I wouldn't say incredibly messed up. I want to say that there's an alternate timeline where he gets like seriously messed up. But he falls into this machine, he gets exposed to it, and then it ejects him, the machine explodes. Darn you, raccoon boy, you messed up my thing, or whatever the main villain says. And he basically walks away, kind of feeling and experiencing an effect, kind of like when in like Spider-Verse, when all the spider people are in like the wrong Earth, and they're like, but he's kind of doing that, walking away from this, going like, wow, what a rush. But because he's exposed to that, space, he's sort of he gets flooded with stuff that comes from the universes that are like tangential to his own, because his world, because his whole design being similar to the Universe Traveler itself, to himself, is like on purpose. So it's like his world is very much influenced by the Universe Traveler, like the Prime stuff. So, the fact that he wears green and yellow, his name is Sparks, because it's electricity. That's nominative determinism. But he basically walks away from this this whole thing with electric powers like the Universe Traveler and stretchy arms like Dusty, because those two worlds like are so close to each other and they interact with each other, they're kind of pulled into each other, and since they're so close, they affect this world that he lives in. And it affects him because he's exposed to this energy, and it gives him those powers, because it's like, oh hey, there's this thing that's kind of floating out there in that space. This person, who is kind of a mix of these two people, are kind of like this person. So this energy is like, oh hey look, here it is, and it gives him those powers. But as he walks away from it, it does more than that to him, because he walks away and he meets a person in the city that he's in, and it's literally a counterpart to one of the other people that the Universe Traveler, meets in his adventures. It's like one of the cast of that story. And he meets that person, and he knows who they are because he has the memories of this other person. And he's sitting there like glitching out or whatever, and he's like, person, help me. And he falls over and passes out. And they're like, what? This person knows my name. How could that be? I've never met this person before in my life. So, and then that sort of kicks off his whole story. I hope I'm doing this in the right way. I am. Okay. And that sort of kicks off his whole thing. But the thing that got me started on that was, is Sparks a dimensional counterpart, or is he a universal variant? It's like, what is his relationship to the Universe Traveler's thing as a whole? What is his relationship? How does his existence affect this whole thing? And that's what got me thinking on this. Because I was like, well, he could be a dimensional variant, right? Because Sparks is a going into his creation here for a bit, he started as a Sonic fan character, right? And the history behind the Sonic fan character was that early on, Sparks was the Universe Traveler sent to the Sonic world through weird means, and because of the event that would send the Universe Traveler to the Sonic world, it actually created two people, where it's like Universe Traveler Prime, kind of has this thing happen to him, and he goes, whoa, that was really weird. How crazy. Oh well, back to living my life, I suppose. But then the Sonic fan character version of him winds up in this world and is like, oh, I'm in this different place now after that event happened. It must have sent me here. I need to find a way to go back home. Not realizing that there's like the other version of him, who's like the actual version of him, still running around. So I'm like, maybe I keep that as part of his backstory. But then it's like, well, and also the character that he meets, again, the character that he meets is another character that a Universe Traveler meets. But then it's like, oh, is this person that he also meets a dimensional counterpart of that person? But then it's like, oh, well, this is an alternate timeline, right? How do I justify the fact that there is another version of this person who is literally just a fuzzy raccoon man, and not just, and is not a human? How do I justify that? Especially considering the fact that Sparks, as a character, as I've been like crafting him, is very different personality-wise. So then it's like, well, then he could be a universal variant, right? That kind of leaves room for it to be more flexible with the rules of who he is as a person, and Um, and the rules of the world and stuff like that. But then it's like, well, then how many characters could I actually include from the Universe Traveler stuff without it being like, okay, this person just wanted to make an AU with like the Sonic version of his characters, right? So that started the whole, how close can I get to the line before I cross it? Like, how do I go from being like, oh, this is an alternate universe, before it's like, oh, this is just an alternate timeline with all the same characters. And then it's like, you know, because it's like, I could just say, oh, when the universes rubbed up against each other, they shared more than just one person. It's not just one person, it's a whole bunch of people that have counterparts to them. But they also have the same names and sort of the same ideas and ideals and all that other sort of stuff. So then it's like, well, then what makes it different from a dimension, right? So that is the conundrum. I don't know why I just didn't start with that, but you know how my brain works. It's weird. But anyways, that's what I've been grappling with in relation to what I've actually been working on. Two fangs. Oh, before I forget, since we're playing Unleashed the other day, the two fangs thing. This is literally inspired by the Sonic the Warthog. Is giving Sparks like the small canine and then the large canine. And it also just is motivated by the fact that Sparks himself, he's a bit more of an animal. He's a bit more reckless and, you know, a bit more beastly in the sense that, you know, he's a bit more aggressive and stuff. So giving him more pointies is kind of part of his design motif. Now that is a hard thing to resolve. Yeah, and that's sort of why I've been like, okay, when I get to like really fleshing out Sparks a little bit more, like Sparks Prime, do I bring in more characters that are do I like make new characters? Do I you know, do I like make a new cast, or do I just run off the idea that it's like no, these people are, it's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence. Or it's like it's through a coincidence that this multiverse rubbing up against each other fuckery is going to actually make this specific scenario. Because I know you can always just go off of it being a coincidence, but I don't know. Depending on the coincidence, it can be pretty flimsy depending on how you look at it. Let's see your Genius Rider because I was sick. Oh, shucks. Yeah, that's what I get. It's like that Tumblr post that I saw a Tumblr post recently, but that's all like you have overproductivity, and it's like I wish I could find it. It's like you're too creative for your oh. I wish I could find it, but it's basically like I created it's like productivity gurus fear me. Like creatives love me, productivity gurus fear me, or something like that. Yeah, wish I could find it. I was cruising through my Tumblr archive and I saw that post. Oh well. I'm pretty sure if I went through and actually looked for it, I'd probably find it, but I got I got other stuff to do than just perusing my Tumblr. I would offer my own ideas, but quite frankly, I'm not knowledgeable enough on everything to fully get it. And that's fair. I desperately needed to tell somebody about this who was, like, willing to listen. Because, the best way that I get all my stuff out of my head is I just have to talk about it. And through talking about it with somebody else, it helps me rationalize my ideas and be like, oh, okay, hearing me describe it to another person, it's like, part A is like really ridiculous. Part B I really like, or part C is really nice. Or part A has got merit, I just need to retool it a little bit. But yeah, the Sparks thing was, I think also just came about because even though I haven't even made anything concerning the Universe Traveler stuff, like actually official anything, other than just a bunch of character drawings and a bunch of ideas in my head, which, you know, doesn't really amount to much. It really stemmed from the fact that I kind of got tired of the Universe Traveler stuff and I needed a change. So I took Sparks and kind of retooled him into being his own character. And to give him his own little his own playground to run around in. And ultimately, I kind of just turned him into his own OC, where he's got his own, you know, wants and needs and desires and stuff. Oh yeah, this is egg quarters. This isn't security hall. I get those two mixed up. I really like Egg Quarters from SA2. It's a good song. I'm always happy to listen so I can steal all your ideas. No. Not my ideas. That is legit, though. One of the reasons why I don't typically share stuff too often is it's like, no, my ideas. Because it's like, no, I saved those. I cherish them, hold them dear. But, you know, ideas are only as good as the practical application you actually give them. Which in my case isn't a lot. Which I definitely need to actually change. It's like, I need to put forth the actual effort to make the stuff that I come up with ideas for. Jeez. Man. Bro, your eyes are all goofy. Happy birthday! Steals all of your cherished and original ideas. Oh man. This is what you got me on my birthday. You gave me a present on my birthday for my birthday, a birthday gift. Happy birthday. Whack! I crested the hill of my life, and what did I get? I'm working on this preliminary sketch. This isn't meant to be something like this, but I just cannot help myself. It has to look perfect! Even though this was meant to be just a silly doodle to get these characters out there. Okay. Open up my Prime Sparks. What does your face look like? Very different. Okay. You know, I've kind of gotten over the fact that I'll probably never draw one character the same twice in a row. But it's... Good lord, the difference is astounding. That was kind of something else I wanted to talk about too at some point. Is just how much Sparks has evolved. I think I mentioned this in like an Instagram story at some point, but I was like, I used to draw Sparks with his hair kind of out like this. It was more off to the side like that, but now I arc it up like like the wings on a Sonic goalpost or the ring from the title screens. I just find it very interesting. And the fact that I don't even like model in the face like that anymore. I throw in the nose and the eyes, and then I just go off from there. I don't think it warrants a whole discussion, but just think it's very interesting. I also think it just comes from the fact that I draw him so differently, and I don't look at a reference every time, so he changes a little bit every time I put pencil to paper. What degree I'm not that evil? Look at your ideas and gain mild inspiration. I'm glad that you're not willing to steal some of my shithole cloth, but I can at least help influence some of your own stuff. Because I don't know if I could say the same for myself. Because there's a lot of things that I look at where I'm just like, I want to do that, but this. Hold on. Do I want to... you know what? Never mind. We'll just put this in the same way. Why not? Boom, 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 boom. Shake it, baby. I drew the wrong way again. Far. Hey man, Nova looks nothing like herself every time I draw them. Yeah, that is something I have noticed. And not even in like a, God, what a noob. But it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's intentional, if they're just trying to find their design, you know, find what works for them. Or if it's like a me situation where every time I draw a character I'm like, oh, that's different than what I originally planned for. Because it's like, because I'm not one to bash on people's skills. Like, are you kidding me? There are people out there drawing like Mozart, and I'm just sitting here making up lore and stuff without even making actual things to put that lore into. Woo! Yay! Also, the transition from Palm Tree Panic to Juice Archipelago in this song, flawless. It is such a good, such a good transition. She always ends up so cube-headed. One day I'll figure it out. One day. I was recently inspired to draw Nova fan art. It's like there was an idea that I had for a really fun Nova piece that I want to do at some point. It's like I don't have enough time and energy in my life to devote to like big projects anymore. I wish I did. Let me open this absolute mess of a file. There we go. Yeah, because I think, yeah, his eyes are supposed to be larger, and his face is supposed to be shorter. So, I think I will change that somewhat. Because, I mean, he looks fine, but it's like, perfect. I love that. And what a great idea to lead from one tropical theme to another. It's beautiful. Beautiful. I've been shrimping. I need to stretch. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Do 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 do. Oh, already. Already, that feels more right. Having his nose lower on his face like that. I still look at this and I still kicking my feet, giggling, tapping the points of my fingers together. Just, ooh. I fed myself, which is crazy. It was something I didn't know I needed. Okay, yeah, and then this eye goes here, and then this eye can go down here like that. There we go. There we go. Now I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it. I disappeared for like a few minutes. Did I miss any more cool ideas? None that you can steal. Yeah, and I don't know. You didn't really miss much. I don't know. Me just kicking and giggling, kicking my feet, giggling over this fan art I drew. Yeah, I don't really have that much of a reaction to it anymore because I've kind of gotten used to it, and the fact that it's like, oh yeah, I made that, hee hee. But it still gives me some form of joy, where it's like I actually was like, oh, I made something that I kind of wanted to make that actually was like, I wouldn't say selfish, but it was like wholly self-serving, and just totally something I wanted. And then having people go, oh, that's really cute, actually. It's like, I don't know. It gave me the happy brain juices, and I was like, oh. Where have you been all my life? Okay. Okay, yeah, his eyes aren't meant to be that tall. I don't know. What is... Is it because he doesn't have angry eyebrows? I usually draw him really angry all the time, so... Oh... I think it's... Maybe that's why? I do draw Sparks angry a lot. Oh, it's also because I think his eyes are a bit farther apart. So it doesn't, like, dip into a point. It rounds itself out. Eh. Yeah, I think it's fine. This is just supposed to be something simple. Yeah, I do need to move on. Because I need to draw Sarah. Sarah. Actually, yeah, can we save this? I just made some layers invisible. When I look in the thumbnails, I want to actually be able to see. I want to see Tiger Lily when I look at my art thumbnails. Confound you, now I have to make an original idea for a character like Eldritch Cultist Mysterio and mistaken Eldritch Beast Venom. Oh, dude, that sounds crazy. Like a cult accidentally summons an alien, but you know, not accidentally. It just happens to be there. I don't. That's fun. That's a good one. Oh, I'm drawing the wrong layer for that. No. We'll start. Yeah, we'll go with that. Why not? Now I get to open up another file. So oh, I should have just left that other one open. How silly of me. Gotta put Sarah. Did I? I don't have Sarah's ref in this, do I? No, I did not. Oh, wait, yes, I did. I'm a fool. And there's a character that deserves more of my time and attention. Or Sarah. It's like, I've been here since show 1 and he still hasn't given me any attention. It's like, I'm sorry. I keep making other characters that I really find interesting and fun. You don't think I'm interesting and fun? No. Relax. Please relax. You'll get your time eventually. You're so neglectful of your characters. Yeah, I know. I'm terrible, and I can't help it. I make way too many of them. Which one is this? This one. Let me go into this. I'm just gonna do this. I keep taking all these half measures when I draw. It's like I really shouldn't. It's like, bro. I give each of mine a kiss on the forehead every day. Yeah, it's like that scene from Despicable Me. It's like, no. Fine. Smooch. Didn't I get you already? But yeah, I make too many of them, and I have too many, but here's the thing, I have too many, but I love them too much to, like, I love them too much to, like, get rid of them or to retire them or anything like that. It's like, you all have a place in this story that I have, but, you know, it's like, I'm only human. I can't devote all my time to drawing all of you. Like, Sarah, like I said, day 1, she's been a character since, like, the very earliest ideas I had for this story. And the fact that she's lasted this long as a character in my head is a testament to her staying power and her importance as a character to this whole narrative. I've been here before. So bring me back in time to another world. Everybody mine. Never go. My side, and I can do inside. To go, take me. Alright, and then her ponytail sort of comes off here, and we'll just do it like this. Nice. Alright. Alright, for tome outfit, it's literally going to be exactly the same. Because I'm a hack and a fraud. And whenever I insert my OCs into an AU, I change practically nothing. I mean, kinda, sorta. If I can get away with keeping a character to a similar design frame, then it's like, I'm gonna do it. Keeps the conceptualization stage, it cuts time off the conceptualization stage, and it makes it easier on me. Because my brain don't work, and I don't have time for that. Yeah, there's my Wilford Brimley impression. My pancreas doesn't work. Uh-oh. Guys, he's lost it. He's quoting JonTron. What do we do? Dear God. You know, that is a... You want YouTubers that I haven't watched in forever. I have not kept up with JonTron at all. I think the last thing I watched from him was it at the Halloween videos? The Goosebumps ones? I can't even remember. But it was like sometime after the whole controversy with, I don't know, the thing about Yemen or something like that, I stopped watching. It's so funny. It's like a lot of the stuff that I ended up stop watching. It's like, it was never because of like controversy or anything like that. It's just literally because I never could carve out time to watch the stuff that people would make. And then I would discover other people that I really liked, and then I would just move on to something else, and I'd forget that I even watched that person to begin with. Which sucks just a wee bit, because there are some people out there who are truly deserving of my time that I really appreciate, and I just don't give it to them. I deserve all of your time, all of the time. Well, I mean, you say that, but I mean, you are the person that I see every time I start streaming, so you kind of get that already. You know, not to fucking rag on all my friends, you know, because it's like, people have lives outside of the internet and all that stuff, so it's like, I can't fault them for not being there when I stream and stuff like that. It's like if you're here, thank you. I really appreciate it. But it's like if you can't, that's like, that's all right. I understand. You'll be forced to listen to my many dumb character ideas because I attend your streams. You know, like I've said before, there are worse fates. It's like, that's not too terrible. I think the thing I'll do with this outfit, though, for her is I'm just going to... The jacket will go down here. And then it'll just be her pants. It'll just be her pantalones. My Joseph, have you seen my pantalones? I can't find them anywhere. They're Coco Chanel! Alright, and her jacket is going to be cuffed, but the cuffs will be a bit simpler. Because the thing about Tome is the art style is very simplistic, so I am allowing myself to make my ideas a bit more simple. Excuses. For instance, character 5 trillion. Wow. Well, I mean, you got me beat. I don't have 5 trillion characters. I don't know. I think my like specific character roster is in the double digits, I want to say. The Skulk King. Oh, I love the name Skulk. Skulk King? Oh, I love that. The villain of a fantasy story making from the basis of what if Minecraft, but traditional fantasy world. That's like a fun conceit of an idea. And there's plenty of material there for you to like run with something there. I think it's got potential. Yeah, come on, scroll. There you go. Alright, and then her shoes are just gonna be, yeah, her shoes. Her shoes are, yeah, her shoes. I was going to give these shoes markings, but I never actually sat down to think about what the markings on her shoes would be. Just goes to show how neglected she is. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, dear. I found those duels in my store for those long-eared folks. Those were the Endermen. Oh, yeah! I actually remembered something. Oh, crazy. Similarly, the decomposing corpse of a vase was the Skulk King. Ooh! Neato. Man, I really love how creative people get with the Endermen. Yeah, making them into, like, elves and things. I think that's really cool. Man, I drew 2 perfectly good feet, but they're, like, completely different. they don't belong on, like, the same person. Shit. Confound it. Oh, the joys of being an artist. Okay. We'll just have to bring this further down, I think. Yeah, that'll work. Because I still have to go over this with the inker and like actually throw inks on this. I am just going to put flats on it, you know, and not shade it. What do you mean? When have I ever shaded anything in my life? I really want to actually get into fully rendering pieces and like painting things. I really want to get into that at some point. Apparently my struggle is figuring out how to differentiate pigling faces. Well, I mean, the nose is a good place to start, I think, right? Unless am I forgetting something about the previous ones? Because, I mean, piglins are like pigs. They're like pig people. So it's like, I don't know, they just make them pigs. I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Because, I mean, who would I be if not to just take some idea that could be absurdly complicated and just stripping it of all of its complexity and just making it too simple? No. So I say, and I'm like, how is it that I can make a universe different from a dimension? And how is it that dimensions are different than universes? And I come up with like a 5D chess plan to find out how space and time works. You just threw shade at yourself, so that is shading. Ah. Congratulations, you played yourself. If only it were as easy to throw shade on a piece of paper as it is to myself. Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of liking how this is turning out so far. She is supposed to have gloves, though. I think I will give her gloves. We'll just include those. Why not? Fuck it, we'll give her the cargo pants pockets. Why not? And the belt. Fuck it. But you literally said you weren't going to include those. You're going to keep them simple. Nah, well, I changed my mind. I changed my mind, Mr. Smarty Pants. Where were you? I was in a hot tub with 10 naked women. Ah, that's so sick. I don't want to hear about it. And then my dad goes, hold on here, Carol. I want to hear a few details here. 10 of them, huh? That's my boy. We're getting peak Universe Traveler content here. Just unhinged, saying and referencing random crap that means absolutely nothing out of context. Truly, we've hit the peak. They're pig people, but I need them hot. Like, furry type shit. Oh. Well, I mean, I think that is when you tap into the cute side of what pigs can be like. Personally, I think that Zootopia has some really cute pig people designs. So, if I were to recommend something, I'd turn to Zootopia's animal designs for inspiration. Because, yeah, they got some pretty good pigs in that movie. I think they're really good. Um, yeah. Although I guess if you're looking for something that's a bit more of a 2D beat, I forget the Wilbur. Wilbur? Wilbur's the pig in Charlotte's Web, right? I think it's Wilbur. Look to the animated adaptation of Charlotte's Web for a good pig design, because the pig in that movie is really cute. That was a Hanna-Barbera movie, if you can believe it. You make very good points. Well, thank you. You truly are an expert at judging how hot pigs are. Hey! Don't give me that. Don't be giving me lip. It's like, I'm just saying. It's like the people at Disney, they know what they're doing. Yeah. I guess she's almost done. One thing I'm going to change, though, is I'm going to change her boomerang. So the thing... Okay. Who's ready for some hot Universe Traveler lore? Because I know I sure am. The thing with Sarah, and I get... This is kind of a... I don't know, I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but who knows whenever I'll get to actually doing Universe Traveler stuff. I'm barely touching Dusty stuff. Me, I am. Excellent. I'm barely getting into, like, Dusty comic stuff. It's like Universe Traveler is, like, so far off. So, in the beginning, Sarah was the first character that Chris met when he traveled from one world to another. She's the first person he meets and has her own elemental power. This is way back in the day. This is old lore. So in the new lore, I basically took that exact same story and reworked it into a later arc in the Universe Traveler stuff that, while looking at it on the outside, and if you happen to know your comic lore, is very Battle World inspired, which I did not intend to do, but the similarities are there, and I can't really ignore it. But it's purely coincidental. In this lore, when the two of them meet, they have this established connection with each other that is for them hard to explain. They're like, for some reason, I kind of know your deal and I understand who you are. I can't put my finger on it, but I trust you. And then they get confronted by a monster, and she busts out her boomerang, and her boomerang is built almost exactly like Chris's sword. Which I don't know. For my sake, I'm gonna bust open his old reference. Because I actually have a thing here. Bam! His sword looks identical to her boomerang in the sense that it's like, we shop at the same weapons store kind of vibe. And they go, huh, that's kind of weird. How is it that we're both from two different places and yet our weapons are exactly the same? That's a mystery. So, after the whole Battle World thing wraps up and, you know, everything's all hunky-dory, people go back home, she's like, hey, you want to hang out for, like, a little bit? And, like, maybe possibly go on an adventure? Maybe to get to the bottom of why we have this, like, weird connection through, you know, through this like feeling of safety and security while also having like the same weapons and the same abilities, because her thing is she's got fire. And this was a thing that I wrote way back in the day. She has fire, he has electricity, and then there's a third person who has ice who comes in later. So it's the three principal elements, you know, fire, ice, and lightning. She is like, oh, you know, you should go on an adventure, and then, you know, they go on this adventure, and they're supposed to be counterparts to each other. I forget why I went on this tangent in the first place, but I think it was because her boomerang is similar in design to this, and that's supposed to be like a thing that connects the two of them together. And then eventually it's like they're connected to each other in the sense that they're like, you know, we actually come from the same place, but how can we come from the same place? It's like, what? And it goes into the whole backstory thing that, I don't know, do I spoil it now? I don't think I want to spoil it right now. But it's basically supposed to be like, what is their connection to each other? And them growing and learning as people through this experience. But her boomerang is basically just a handle with the processor, I say. It's like a dynamo or something like that. They both have... But yeah, it has the same look on it, and the blade that comes out of his sword is a similar blade to this that comes out of her boomerang. And she's able to throw it. It does a boomerang thing, you know, it goes out, it loops around and all that stuff. But she can use it in very specific ways. Like, she can throw it like Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat. Just throw it out there and it'll hover in the air and it'll spin. She can power it up with fire and it'll turn into like this fire discus that like sets things on fire as it cuts through things. It's totes awesome. Oh, there we go. I just did a stretch and I popped my back. Oh, that felt really nice. Whew. But the thing with their weapons is that they're supposed to be designed specifically for them. So when they hold them, the grip channels the energy that they have, and that's what powers the blade. And when they let go of that weapon, the blade just goes whoop and it disappears. But you can they can charge it, so that way it can hold on to that energy for a little while. So that way when, you know, they throw their weapons, or, you know, because in this case a boomerang, you can like swing a boomerang, right? Breath of the Wild taught me that. You can take a boomerang, you can swing it like a sword, but in the case of a boomerang, you have to throw it in order for it to be like an effective weapon of some kind. So she's able to energize it with her power and then throw it, so that way it can do its boomerang thing and then come back to her. But, you know, and in close quarters, she can also swing it like a sword. Here in this drawing, I think it's smaller than it's supposed to be. When I picture it in my head, it's a bit bigger than this. But for the sake of this tome thing, it's small. Because it's also supposed to clip to the back of her belt and just sort of hang off the back like a fanny pack kind of. And then when she needs it, she just reaches back and clips it off of her belt, and then just like that. Oh man, no spoilers. Guess I'll just have to manage with these other big pot spoilers that I'll forget in a month's time. Good. Because if I ever actually get off my butt and make the Universe Travelers thing, it's got to be fresh. It's got to be fresh. It's got to be new. Woo! But yeah, now Sarah's done. Man, I am just blazing through this. Alright, and then we get to move on to Bolt. Here in another Bolt and another neglected character. Who I've been sort of struggling with. Because going back to my references. gotta find the right folder for it. While I finished the majority of Dusty's cast in terms of references, I'm gonna end up redoing them all. You're so good at making ideas, man. Thanks, I try. Or, thanks, it's the ADHD. It moves. My brain moves at a gajillion miles an hour, and I can hardly keep up. But anyways, Bolt is another character that I've had for a long time. I think I've talked about him before, but again, he was originally made for the Universe Traveler story, where he was part of the main Universe Traveler cast. He came from a world that was entirely populated by robots, where he shows up on Earth after humans have left. They left the robots behind. The robots end up turning Earth back into like this lush, beautiful world, and you know, they've learned to like maintain the ecology of the planet. You know, nature is thriving, all that good stuff, because you know, they're not greedy humans that, you know, squeeze the life out of everything that they touch. So they're able to maintain that. And then one day, a probe from space arrives on the planet and crashes, and inside is a robot. And you know, while all the robots on Earth are kind of old, the technology sort of has advanced, but they only use like Earth technology, so it's like a little weird. Bolt shows up and he's like this shiny brand new robot, and he arrives and he's like, "Hello everybody," and everybody's like, "Oh look, a robot. That's kind of weird. Wonder where you came from." And he's like, "Oh, it was created by humans." And everybody goes, "What? Humans haven't been around for ages." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we were on the planet next door," or something like that. It's, you know, I'm saying it for brevity, but it's basically that's basically the gist. And his whole story is he's on the human planet. Things are going pretty okay. You know, they're kind of thriving. They found a new home. Everything's great. Somebody is tasked with building a robot that is sentient, and a person builds, that's like an advanced scientist builds a robot that's, you know, human-like in almost every sense of the word, bleh, and is fully autonomous. It can think and learn and feel for itself. And you know, upon creating him, he kind of realizes, oh shit, I think I kind of overstepped my bounds a little bit. Having fully intelligent, sentient robot life isn't great, and you know, we'll end up creating a subservient race. This isn't great. This isn't good. I just need to get rid of this thing. But he's like, he can't bring himself to kill his creation. And everybody's like banging down his door, being like, "You were supposed to be designing this robot. What's the holdup? Have you had any success?" And he's like, kinda. But then it's like, oh, he makes the robot, and he's like, oh shit, I actually kind of had success. I can't tell anybody about you. It's not a good thing that you exist. But I don't think he actually tells him that. But he's like, he looks at him as like his own son, and is like, okay, I need to get you out of here. I don't have the heart to like dismantle you or anything, but it's like, you gotta go. So he takes the robot, puts him in a probe, and he's like, I'm gonna send you back to old Earth. You'll be with your own kind, and when the time is right, we'll come and pick you up. See ya, bye. And then just sends him off. And it ends up being like kind of a reverse Superman. I wouldn't say a reverse Superman story. It becomes sort of like a Superman story where Bolt shows up on the planet and he's taken in by Nut. So it's Nut and Bolt. Haha. Mega Man reference. And Bolt, being a superpowered robot, he's got like super strength and all that stuff. He goes around and he like helps people and stuff like that. And it's totes adorbs and all that fun stuff. And then in the Universe Traveler stuff, the Universe Traveler crew shows up and he's like, oh look, humans, but you're not from that planet, are you? And he's like, no, we're not. And they go and they do their Universe Traveler thing, and he's like, I'm going to join you because I want to be with humans and I want to learn about you. And so he joins them, and that's the end of that. A couple of revisions later, I kind of realized I don't like this story. It's kind of dumb. But I don't want to get rid of Bolt because as a character and as a concept, I really like him. he's a good boy, a certified good boy. He gets the little medal. It's like ding, he's a certified good boy. So I kind of retooled it a little bit so that way it's like his backstory is kind of the same, where it's like he's a fully sentient robot, fully autonomous. He's created by a person who it was tasked to try and make a scientific breakthrough in robotics in order to get like grant money or something like that. And he does, and then he's like, uh-oh, I think I kind of overstepped my bounds. I made something that I've made a terrible mistake. And he's like, what was this robot idea used for again? He's like, oh, we're going to use it for, like, you know, subservience or whatever. And he's like, oh, I don't think this kind of robot is meant for that. It's like, this kind of technology is not a good thing to be used for in this way. So he goes and he's like, he destroys his research and tells Bolt, he's like, we're leaving, we're going on the run, we're in hiding. The world cannot know that you exist. And it is my fault that we have to live like this, but it is not your fault to, you know, it is not your fault. I made you, but I need to keep you safe. This is the reason. And he's like, he's completely transparent about it. He's like, you know, he's very open about it. I need to keep you safe. I have to protect you. And Bolt is like, no, I get it. It's cool. But they end up in the same city that Dusty moves into. And Bolt sees Dusty do heroic stuff, and he's like, can I do that? And he's like, well, I mean... And his creator's like, I don't know, I don't think we should be doing that. But then his creator recognizes the robots that are attacking the city, and he goes, oh, I know who made those. This is bad. And this is bad for a myriad of reasons. And Bolt is like, I want to help. I think Dusty is cool, and I want to help. And so his creator's like, yep, you know what? All right, I'll allow this. But we need to be very careful about this. Because, first of all, you're a robot. They'll think you're bad. They'll think you're evil. And you cannot, you know, tell anybody who made you, why you're here, so on and so forth. And he's like, aye, aye, Skipper. So then Bolt goes on and does his heroics thing, and he meets Dusty, and he's like, oh, Dusty, I think you're really cool, and I think you're awesome and cool and smart and all that, and I really want to be friends. And it's like, I do this because you inspired me to become a hero and all that. And I even painted, and his whole orange color scheme is inspired by Dusty, because he's like, I made myself orange because it's your color, and I want to be a hero like you, and I'm here to help the city. And the two of them become really good friends, and Dusty like comes to his aid several times, where everybody's like, no, he's a robot, he's bad, he's like the robots that destroy the city, it's like he's evil, and he's not telling us where he's from. But Dusty's like, no, he's good. He's helping. See, he stopped the building from falling, and he saved me. So it's like, he's a good guy. He's good. And then, you know, there's like a moment where he gets like, I don't even know if this is a thing that'll happen in the story or not, but I had this scene in my head for a long time where Bolt is like doing his thing, and then the good guys are like, we have this laser that can blow a hole through this robot, because Bolt is supposed to be like a Superman kind of character. He's like bulletproof, and he's got super strength. He's got like the energy blasts. Very Iron Man meets Superman kind of thing. And they're like, we've got a laser, and we can just blast a hole straight through his defenses. And, you know, the day is saved, everything's great, and then zap, he flies away, and he gets aced just out of the air. And Dusty's like, oh my god, what happened? And he goes up, he's all panicked, and he's like, what do I do? Are you okay? Are you gonna be okay? You're like a robot, you have a hole in you. And, you know, Bolt's like, yeah, it seems my functions are malfunctioning. I kind of need to go see the doctor. before I shut it down. He's like, "You're gonna die?" And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna die. You need to remain calm." It's like, calm, stay calm. I'm going to be okay. But it's like, if I want to stay functional, you gotta take me back to the doctor so I can get fixed. And, through this, Bolt's kind of outed as being like, oh, he's the result of this experiment in order to create, the perfect robot. He's then, I want to say knighted, but he's basically, I wouldn't say deputized, but he's like, oh no, he's actually a good guy. And the doctor finally is able to come out of hiding because the government goes, okay, we kind of know that you did steal this kind of stuff, but if we did anything, we'd make Dusty sad, and we can't do that. So, you're off the hook for now. And they basically kind of acknowledge that it's like, okay, we can't actually do this without losing favor with the public. Because at this point, Dusty is like a hero to the people. And they're like, oh, we can't really do anything about this kid because too many people like him. And if we actually do anything, it's going to be our heads. And try as we might to deny it, people would hate us too much to like actually let this slide. And also the fact that he is literally a child. So our hands are tied. And Dusty kind of gets away with murder a little bit every now and then because he's like, he does something and then the government's like, well, we can't really do anything about it because he's literally a child. And he's very he's kind of open about the stuff that he does. I mean, there's like no secret identities or anything. So they're like, well, we'll let you keep doing your thing because obviously what you do is good and it's fine, I guess. So then they're like, oh, we'll let you keep your robot friend because people like you. He's like now a public figure. So it's like, okay. We want that technology though, but we can't because if we try to like copy it or steal it, we actually need the robot in order to copy this stuff, but we can't take it because, he's here with you almost constantly. So it's like we can't just take it. It's like, so they're like frustrated about it. But yeah, and then Bolt is just like, he's like a hero of the people, just like Dusty. And then, when Dusty goes to do the Universe Traveler stuff, he's there to sort of cover for him, and he helps protect the city and whatnot, and do all sorts of good. So that's his deal. And he's here in the Tomeu as one of Dusty's tome buddies, who lives in the same town as he does, but he goes to a different school because he's gifted, because he's a robot, ha ha ha. But he made a character and decided to play with his friends, and they joined the Universe Traveler stuff, because long-term goal of mine, at least in terms of story progression, the Universe Travelers sort of become like an entity within the multiverse, and they go around and they do multiverse stuff. And one of the main members of that group is Dusty, Bolt, and Aura. It's those three characters that are part of that group. So here in the Tomeu, he's part of the group. Because who doesn't like a cool robot? I like cool robots. And chick stick robots, little known fact. Although they're supposed to be giant robots, but who keeps track of that, really? Robots are cool no matter what size they are. his little armband. Originally, he had like little bands on his shoulders as well, to sort of act as dividers between his arms and his torso. I ended up getting rid of them because the armbands were supposed to be like joints, so that way they could be like the flexors, you know, where his joints are. But then I remember looking at Mega Man and going, oh, you know, Mega Man's a robot, but they didn't put joints on his design. So I just decided to get rid of him, just put lines there. Simplified his design by a lot. What did I do with his? Okay, yeah, they're just... Yeah, okay. What did I do with this? Okay. Shut up for a second. I can't draw these fucking lips! Anybody remember Awesome Noir? I remember Awesome Noir. Biggest story blow up I've ever seen. Yeah, I think so. The one thing that I wish I kept or could keep is in that original robot story, Bolt had a pet dog. He had a pet golden retriever named Sprocket. And he was supposed to be there as sort of like it was supposed to be there as like the whole relationship between animals and robots was supposed to be like this really wholesome thing. And it was very much exemplified by the fact that Bolt had a pet dog named Sprocket. And he would take him for walks and stuff. And, take him for walks, play with him and all that stuff. And that was one of the main, like, visualizers in my head was, like, a robot playing with a dog and being like, what if not human and dog, man's best friend, but robot and dog, robot's best friend? You know. So, I do miss that kind of relationship between Bolt and Sprocket, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, compared to the wholesome relationship that you get with Dusty and Bolt, I think it makes up for it. And he's got, and something I cribbed off of the Smash design for Mega Man, to show where the bends in his feet are for when he walks. I put these here, these little lines here, and I put them in his ankles and his toes. So that way, when you walk, your toes bend forward. And I don't know, I just put it in his ankles to help round the design out a little bit more. So I can put the little yellow there on his feet. So. Yeah, there he is. There he is, and there they is. I still don't like his face. It still doesn't look right. God, would it help if I do this? Maybe? His eyes just don't look right. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So before I throw the inks on these guys, just quick overview of the Tome AU. I call it an AU even though it'd be an alternate dimension for the Universe Traveler stuff. AU is just more colloquially known. I still struggle with that word. As like, this is an alternate take on characters. And calling something AD, it's like, that's like either after death or after dark or something like that. So it gets confusing. But, you know, within the right context, just saying AU, it's like, oh, I get it. You know, it's very easy to understand. So in the Tome AU, you have Dusty, who plays Mighty Dust. Story's kind of the same. He's a 14-year-old kid, lives with his mom. His dad passed away when he was young. Not in the same way, though. It's different in that way. But his dad passed away. Yeah, lives with his mom and they live a pretty decent life, you know. They live in moderate comfort. Chris has 2 characters in the Tome game. He started with the Universe Traveler. Goes through a bit of a depressive spell. It gets really bad. His friends bail him out. And then after that, he decides to change his character. And he goes with Sparks. And Sparks is kind of like his rebirth. He kind of sees it as a way to kind of like rebuild himself. You know, finds more out of life. And after that change, he runs into Tiger Lily, and they sort of start their thing. His friend, and he's like 28 in this AU. In Universe Traveler's Prime, he's 18 at the start of that. And V, just to round it out here, the bad Chris and the good in Universe Traveler Prime, they're both 18. V is 26, I think. If I remember right, he's either 21 or he's 26. I think I made him 21. And then like the early version of Universe Traveler that runs around the other dimension, he's 15. He's Dusty's age. But here in this AU, he's 28. And his friend, and Sarah, is 26. I think it's 26. I have the notes written in my notebook. But she's 26. They're both good friends with each other. I think they're internet friends, I think. I don't think they live close to each other. I can't remember if I actually established that in my notes. But they're good friends. They've played with each other for a long time. They both made their characters in tandem with each other. So the old Universe Traveler character that Chris played they were both partnered up. He had the sword, she had the boomerang. He decided to change his character, and then I want to, like, I don't know if this is actually canon to the lore or anything, but I'm making this up as I go, so it's like I'm just making it up. She ends up sniping the Universe Traveler name and sort of holding it for herself, so that way she can maintain the Universe Traveler guild, while he sort of takes. They both co-captain the guild, the Universe Traveler guild. But instead of the namesake being his, it's hers, and they still both kind of lead it, but he kind of takes a little bit of a backseat in terms of leadership, and he kind of leaves it up to her. And they're still co-captains, but it's like he kind of lets her call the shots mostly. And then Bolt is Dusty's friend. I don't know if I've established his player's name, but he's Action Bolt. That's like his screen name, but they call him Bolt. Friend of Dusty's, they're around the same age. He goes to a different school, but I don't know if they live in the same neighborhood. I don't know if they do, but he goes to a different school. They both know each other. I forget if he asked to join or if Bolt or Dusty recommended Bolt join. Chris was like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's cool. You're all friends. It's like, welcome aboard. So the guild ends up being these 4 people. Other characters, the other Universe Traveler characters included. Darcy is a character here. She doesn't play the game, but she's friends with Dusty, and he tells her about the game and all that stuff. She doesn't play because it doesn't really interest her, but she still, listens to him talk about it all the time. Aura is a girl from Dusty's school that he crushes on, and she plays the game kind of in secret, and he kind of finds out it's her by accident, and really wants to talk to her and really get to know her, but he's kind of embarrassed because at the school she's kind of one of the popular kids, so he's kind of like, I want to talk to her, but it's like, I don't want to embarrass myself. So, you know, they got that thing going on. Tenchi, little panda boy, is part of the Warriors of Erduin guild that has Ryota and Scarlet in it. Scarlet's a character I haven't really talked about all that much, but there are the Ryota characters in it. But anyways, he's part of her guild. Actually, I gotta get the visuals up, because I technically have references for these characters. Oh, the way. Tenchi kind of remaining unchanged. Tenchi is part of her guild, Warriors of Erduin, but he rolls with the Universe Traveler Guild a lot, and more often than not, he's rolling with them because she doesn't play the game all that often, even though they live in the same house. They're both brother and sister. She's like a hardworking gal, is very studious and and something else, I forgot the word I was going to use, but she doesn't play too often, so she still likes the game. She just doesn't play it often because she's got responsibilities. But Tenchi rolls with the Universe Traveler crew a lot, and he's, while not an official member, he's an honorary member of their group, and whenever he asks to play with them, they're always like, sure, come on, we love to have you. And it's kind of the village raising the child, kind of, because out of all the members of the team, he's the youngest, so they all look out for him. And he's like, I think he's like 12 or something like that. He's kind of young. Ryota's like 18, and her screen name is Hero of Owls, because it ties into the whole owl motif that Ryota's got going. And Scarlet's another Erduin character that I haven't talked about at all. You know, speaking of neglected characters. And yeah, that's basically all I have lore-wise for the tome stuff. And I was gonna go and establish all that stuff through like comics and fanfics and all that other stuff. But time. So, I'm going to go through and redo the Tome fan comic that I was going to make, because I feel like my art style has changed enough, and my sensibilities for laying out comic panels has also changed. Also, my writing style has adjusted a little bit, so I want to remake it and sort of start from scratch. So, and I'm still kind of tinkering with the script a little bit for that fan comic. So, that's the lore. I've still got a little time before I'm gonna wrap this up, so I'm gonna futz with his eyes a little bit. Futz with Sparks' eyes before I call it quits, because I got a party that I need to get to. Move it to you, follow me, follow me. There, I want to position this eye here and this eye here. We'll take this eye though and we'll move it down just a skosh. Do 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 do. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Oh, okay, I thought it said software restarting, and I was like, gah! Right, I was gonna open this back up. So I can just study my past self's art style and go, what was I thinking? Not even like a questioning, just, you're so stupid. It's like, what were you on when you made this? Like, what was your skill? Because obviously I'm missing something here. I think it's because his eyes are supposed to be larger in relation to the size of his head. His eyes are a lot larger. I think that's the case. My birthday gift to you is listening to your lore rambling. Do I do that all the time anyways? Because I like listening? Yes. It's just this time it falls on your birthday. Yeah, it's only different because I've got like a, I don't know, like a birthday emoticon or something like that. Oh, speaking of, now that I'm thinking about it, it just reminded me. So I know I've been talking about doing, they took my fucking eyes, Piglet. I was thinking about doing a, like a rebrand of the Universe Traveler stuff, and like, sort of changing my VTuber model and stuff to like being more indicative of who I am. Ooh. I kind of cracked it. I kind of got it. Okay. And then he's got... Yeah, then his eyes are kind of like this. During my depressive spell last night, I was kind of thinking about... it's like, what... If I'm making these changes to my stream channel, why am I making these changes, first of all, and are these changes going to be worth it? And it's worth it in the sense that it's like, is this the direction you want to go, etc., etc. I don't know, and it got me thinking. It's like, you know, as it stands, I'm not really a big part of the VTuber community, right? And my lore hardly ever comes up. Like, ever. It's like I'm more open about who I am in terms of my identity than a lot of people do, or a lot of people are with themselves. So it's like, do I want to have a character for this? And it's like, okay, I do, first of all. The mascot character is cute. But then I was like, do I need it to be my identity? And then I was like, oh, does it have to be like a VTuber character like that? You know what I mean? And I was like, that's actually kind of true. I have crafted a new like mascot character for streams, but it's like, do they have to be a PNG tuber model for me to find satisfaction in streaming? And I was like, no, they don't. It doesn't, actually. And then I thought about, well, if I don't have a model on screen while I'm streaming, that leaves a lot of room to adjust my layout. Because one thing I was thinking about doing was taking chat off of the screen and just removing it. So that way I could free up the background a bit more and not having it block assets while the display's up, and I can make my screen larger. And then it's like, oh, well, if I don't need a PNG tuber model anymore, or at least I'm kind of moving past that, I could free up that screen space some more and make the screen even bigger. And I've been kind of bouncing back and forth on having an intrusive overlay. Because I admit, and I mean this isn't like a secret or anything. I am a big fan of Penny Parker Snapcube, and one of the streams that I love watching of hers is the Spider-Man stream. And in that Spider-Man stream, it's not in the edits, at least not yet, because she hasn't actually released an edited version or edited portion of this part of her stream, but she talked about how she wanted her stream layout to be very unobtrusive. And she's like, I'm very close to just, you know, nixing the stream layout and just having nothing there, but it kind of robs it of personality, you know. But it's like, I have enough of an indicator there that it's like there's something there, because she uses the like a Apple layout kind of deal, where, you know, when you look at the edge of the edge of the layout, like if I can hover my cursor over it, it's like over here she's got like the red, the green, and or it's like the red, yellow, and green, or it's like green, yellow, and red, whatever it is, for the Apple window, and it's sort of up here in the corner, and you can barely see it, and then it's got like the words up here telling you what the window's for, and then she's got all of her like stream notifications on like a toolbar at the bottom. And as she talked about it, she's like, I was thinking to myself, you know, she's kind of got a point. Because she was like, I want the entirety of the screen to be visible. And I was like, you know, she's kind of got a point there. And I put stuff over my overlay, like the lightning bolts and the circles in the corners and all that. Because I'm like, if people are going to be watching this stream, I'm going to be honest, they're going to be watching it for me. Because if they want to find gameplay or art stuff that doesn't have this here, people will go and find artists and streamers and people who play those specific games that don't have this and are more for, and have more cultivated their for lack of a better word, their shtick to being unobtrusive and stuff, and they'll go and they'll find that. There we go. This feels a lot better now. This definitely feels a lot better. I'm way more cool with this. I just need to adjust. I want to adjust this side here. Wait, this whole time I could have found other content creators? I thought you were the only one. Uh-oh. What have you done? You just ruined your own following. But yeah, and then I was like, I don't know, I was thinking about that, and I'm like, do I really want this stuff on my screen now? Because, I don't know, I thought about it, and then it reminded me of when I was playing through Tome, and I was like, oh, there's a little fun thing on the toolbar that you can't see because my overlay's covering it up. And I was like, oh, that actually kind of sucks. So I'm like, okay, maybe not having that there is kind of a good thing, actually. So, yeah, I don't know. All that is to say, I feel like the work I've been putting into like changing everything is slowly coming up all for naught, because the more that I want to change, the less there is on the screen and the less there is to make after I've already made a bunch of stuff. Because the new PNG tuber model, for the most part, is I don't want to. It's hard to put a specific percentage on it, but it's like 80% done. And it's like, and my PNG tuber program that I use VitoTube. And that only and V currently is just a torso, right? Because that the program only uses I wouldn't say V is just a torso. V is more than that. V is a whole person. But the model for V is just a torso. And for this new design, I made a whole body and I drew a whole outfit and I've designed whole outfits for them. And I feel really silly having made all these outfits when it's like, oh, there's a good chance I'm just going to end up scrapping this whole thing altogether. And not using them at all. At least in the form that they're in currently. Okay, he's looking pretty good. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I think he's gonna be he's in a fit enough state, I think. So, and that's kind of where the state of that is about now, is I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it now. Stretch. Oh. Because I'm unsure. I don't know which direction I want to take this. And how much it means to me that I change it. I just... Because it's like... It's not all for naught, too. Because, I mean, I want to make a new starting soon screen. And a start soon and ending stream screen. I want to have those on there. Or at least I want those made. So that way, especially the stream ending screen, because it's like, the endings have been kind of awkward for me, because I want to say goodbye, but I want stream to kind of stay going for a little bit afterwards. So that way, when the raid is slowly ticking down, I can go to a screen, and then I can keep tabs on everything, so when we switch over to a new streamer, I can shut everything down and get everything sort of shut down, so that way my computer will cool off and all that stuff. Not that it gets hot, but for some reason, sometimes when I leave OBS running and I try to close it too soon after I end stream, it shuts off incorrectly and it kind of hiccups a little bit, and I want to avoid that. So I let the program run for a little bit, not in stream mode, so that way it can kind of cool off a little bit, and when I go to close it, it shuts down properly. But I want to make that stuff, and that stuff kind of requires a new PNG tuber design. But it's like, I don't know if I want to have a PNG tuber on my screen anymore, because I mean, this is like, I don't really stick to a character. I'm just being me. It's just me being myself. So it's like, there's like no fun in games anymore with that. I literally stuck with the whole VTuber, PNG tuber thing because my friends were doing it. Because friend of the show, friend of the pod, Barry Montblanc was like, you know, I'm doing the VTuber thing. It's like that's like the stream thing. And she used to do streams under her human persona, but then she, you know, reveals her true identity as Barry Montblanc and all that. And I was like, you know, that's actually a pretty fun idea. I'm gonna start streaming soon. I should do that. But I haven't really followed the typical VTuber pipeline. It's like I don't have a model. My hardware is not powerful enough to run that kind of stuff. So it's like, do I loosely try and attempt to maintain that? Or do I just veer off the path and do my own thing? That's kind of where I'm at. and I just don't know what direction I want to go into. So that is that's where I'm at with that currently. So I just got birthday messages. I'm gonna answer these real quick because I finished this, and I think I'll leave this here for now, and then I'll go through and I'll probably ink them off stream, and then I'll do some last minute edits because I'm gonna make these like individual images. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna upload them to Instagram and Tumblr and all that stuff. So that's the plan for this thing, for this piece. Say thank you. Alright. Who's texted me? Birthday plans. Okay. Yeah. So I think I've talked about all I've wanted to talk about when it comes to art stuff. And I've left this project in a decent spot. So I thought I said something, but apparently not. Maybe you just said it out loud to yourself and then went, "Oh wait." It's like, "Oh wait a minute." You can't hear me. But anyways, we're gonna give this a Control S, and then I'm actually quitting stream at a decent time. Crazy. Okay. It would be scary if you could hear me. Ugh. That is like one of the last things I'd want as an ability is to be able to just fucking hear people. No thanks. It's like people can keep their thoughts to themselves. I don't need to be part and parcel of that stuff. Alright. I'm gonna open up a thingy here, and I'm gonna see who's where and what and all that stuff. Huh. Yeah, I guess if there is. I guess there is one thing of starting and stopping at an odd time. Nobody's here. Or at least nobody that I raid normally. Hmm. Hmm. You know what? We'll just. We're just gonna end it here. I've enjoyed my time here, Mr. Cobbler. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm glad. I'm kind of glad I just decided to do this spur of the moment thing. I actually made some progress on an art piece. Can you believe that? Unheard of. So. That's the show, folks. And yeah, hopefully I have a good day. It's a gray and rainy day out, which I really appreciate. It started raining last night, and I love a good rain. So I'm gonna head out and go to my party. I also need to communicate to some Discord friends of mine, because we were going to be. I was thinking about doing some games with them today, but I don't know. Don't know if that's gonna be a thing. So I need to drop a message in the Discord and let them know. But anyways, that's enough out of me. I'm gonna have to head out soon. So, thank you for joining me. I'm kind of buying time. I want to let the loop start the birthday song again. But thank you for joining me. If you're watching the VOD, hey, thanks for sticking around to the end. Appreciate you. Next stream will be end of the week Saturday. Might be Pokemon, might be Sonic Unleashed, or more art. We'll have to see. So, maybe stream Friday, who knows, but definitely stream Saturday. Here we go. Thank you, song. Alright. So, until then, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and hopefully you finish off the weekend strong. And maybe I'll see you somewhere out there in the multiverse. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.